Yo, what's up, guys? So in this video, I'm gonna give y'all a full guide on how to get into healing life, which is also very commonly known as jading in Wizard 101 max level. Okay, so first I'm gonna go over the types of gear you can run for this strat. We go over what decks I think you should use, set up some decks, and then the main strategies behind the actual jading strategy, and then some of the bad matchups and some of the downsides. So, first, gear. So, if you have access to it, having void gear is phenomenal. It is by far the best gear for this strategy. As you can see, I have void. I have probably the most ideal stats you can possibly get for this strategy. So I have void hat, void robe, the crafted uber boots because it gives two 6-round damage auras. You also have the normal uber boots, which gives a 6-round cycle of life. Now both of these are good. I like the extra damage aura more. The stats are the same. As you can see, compared to mercy boots, you get more resist. You get the pip chance. You lose some block, which is fine because your heals do more. You gain it back in other pieces of gear. It just makes you more tanky, right? Because the void gear is basically just mercy gear with crit taken off and healing added. So you just throw on some extra stats, right? It works the same with the hat. They're pretty much identical, except you take off some damage, take off some pierce, throw on healing. Both work the same way. So, and I use the Merciless Wand because the way damage cap works, I'm under the damage cap, which I believe is 135. So, damage is more important than pierce. Now, I already have good pierce. So, you run Merciless Wand over a Nullity Wand, which gives extra pierce, but you lose 4 damage. So, Mercy Wand, Void Athame. Now, the Athame is where there's some flexibility. With this strategy, I use Void Athame because I get to socket a 15 accuracy for balance, which allows me to use the balance shift along with TC pops. Now, this is a huge part of the strategy because a lot of people will try to time 6-round auras. Some people will frenzy. And this allows you to have much more control over the game. So I have 15 balance accuracy. So I can't fizzle my shift, and I still have a 10% chance to fizzle my pops, but it's not that big of a deal, right? So all this. So I do run a balance mastery for many reasons. One, super good. It takes blades off if I'm getting blade stacked. It takes off 3 folds if I'm getting infection spammed. I also get scales, which is incredible. Obviously, I don't need to explain that. This shift I like because I can steal heals. So if I fight another life that is healing, or if I fight a balance who's stealing my heals, I can steal it back. I also have TCI just in case, I don't pull it. I have dispels for both schools, and I pack 5 reshuffles. Now, this just caters more towards the way I play this strategy. You don't have to carry 5 reshuffles. You don't have to use balance mastery. It's just my personal preference. I think it's best, and I'm gonna run what's best. So you can take everything I'm saying and copy it, and you'll probably be fine. You could completely disregard, make your own thing, and you'll figure it out. So pets. So pets is going to be probably one of the biggest differences between your Jade strat and someone else's. So if you have access to full void gear, you without medic on the pet get 73 outgoing. This is plenty. Okay. So I currently am not running medic on my pet. I am triple warded to my 3 worst matchups, which are Death, Myth, and Storm. Okay. Now, if you don't have access to all the void gear, which is a lot of people, because this gear is not easy to get by any means, you can run something along the lines of this. So you throw on dealer proof, at least, and then medic, and then you can either put a ward and a breaker, like these 2 pets right here, or you could throw on 2 wards, like these 2 pets right here, or you could run no wards. Now, this is also a good pet. If you don't have full void gear, you need medic, basically. It's a necessity. I think you should run a ward. I don't think you should run this pet. I think with how strong some schools are, at least 1 or maybe 2 wards are needed. And if you have void gear, by all means, I think you should triple ward. It's if you don't have void gear, you can make these pets. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to find people to give them to you, but you can switch between who's in queue. If you see a lot of myths in queue, you throw on the myth ward. If you see a lot of deaths in queue, you throw on the death ward. Storm ward's pretty basic. Pretty much every school storm wards at this point. Storm's ridiculous, hitting hard. So yeah, pets. Yeah. So some alternatives if you don't have void gear. Okay. Double Highland. You could run Highland hat, Highland robe, and then I don't have this piece, but the retired Morgantha theme gives 20% outgoing. That is incredible. You can use that with this ring. Now this ring is pretty much a necessity if you want to do healing life. There is some setups where you can use the void ring. I personally don't think it's viable. I mean, I don't think giving up 16 outgoing is worth 8 damage and 7 pips and some HP. I don't think it is. If you can make it work, then that's on you. But this is my suggestions. Stone ring. Balance mastery, again, I think is incredible for all the... I mean, myth, you just have Jin's defense, which you really don't need. If someone's shielding against you, you can OT. You have Hunting Worm. You have Wings. You can just Lumi through it. You can Wand. It doesn't really matter. You can shift their OTs if they have them. So many ways. And you have stun. I have a 2-pip fire stun, so I'm not really losing on Medusa. I can dispel pretty easily. Easily the best. I think Delightful Boots are pretty standard across every setup. You can run Mercy if you have a setup that works for that. I personally don't. I think Mercy Wand is definitely like the best one. You'll see some people running like healing ones like this. I think it's ridiculous. You lose out on so much damage that at that point you're seriously just jading, and that's not the intent. The intent is to be able to hit and heal, and still do viable damage and still do viable healing. It's like the ideal way to do it, right? So yeah, alternative for that. Boots. Yeah, so the robe. Malice. See, here's the problem with Malice there is you lose out on a lot of stats. So let's compare it to Void Robe, right? With Void Robe, I get 200 more HP, I get 100 more block, I get 2 more resist, and I get 3 extra pierce. I lose out on 3 damage, which doesn't matter because I'm getting it back from the pierce anyway, which is better. And you lose it on 2 accuracy. Who cares? It really doesn't matter. Because you already have 100% anyway. The stats are ridiculously better. Malistaire Robe, the issue is you're losing out on a lot of resist. Like compared to Mercy, you have less resist than Mercy, and you're healing. If you have too little resist, you're gonna get hit too hard to where you can't viably heal back. So if you run Mercy and then you run like Delightful to make up for the resist loss, you're looking at 350 block. Every single school is going to hit you like a truck. It's not the best. You can run the new Cerberus robe. This robe is incredible. Now I haven't really looked fully into like what setups are good with it because I don't have the Morgantha theme. I wish I did, but they retired it for some reason. But I'm sure you could find anything that works. The biggest takeaway that you need to understand if you're trying to run healing life is that you don't want to give up too much stats for healing. Because if you do that, you're going to get put into a position where you are forced to heal. And even if you do heal, you're going to have to take a huge hit. Because if I have 300 blocks, sure, my heals will do more. But their hits are doing, 15% more than they should for my heals to do 10% more, so it's not worth the trade-off that you're giving up there just to run a little bit higher stats. Yeah, so back to the main topic is the deck. So this is the way I play this strat is very unconventional. You will not see people playing like this. Normally you see the very obvious, you either buff or you debuff, and then you hit. The way I like to do it, like debuff as in tower shield, weakness, set shield, all those normal, formulaic moves. I like to brace and then take away their buff. So you can count that as a debuff. But like if they blade, I'll Lumi, and if they blade again, I'll eye. It's all about making them do as little damage as possible and then healing it back. I'm not looking to just hit like a normal strat would be. I'm looking to slowly wear them down, run them out of, get them to a point where not every single move is a good move. Because at the start of the game, a lot of people will just have what they want, you know, or they'll pull hard for it. And then at some point is when you start doing bad moves. It's like you start shielding with overtimes on because you literally have nothing else. You start blading and getting them open hits, and that's when you take advantage of it. Okay. By the way, I'm not advocating for anyone to go into matches and not try to kill their opponent. Going into matches purely to heal off all the damage, and pray they flee is a very lame way to play in this meta, and it's just giving everyone like a bad look. It's just not worth the effort. So, if you're gonna do this, try to hit at a responsible time. For example, a lot of the times when I'm fighting ISIS, for example, they will shield a lot. ISIS shield a lot. Okay, so the best way to beat that is use your Sanks early, let them bubble fight you. Maybe you have to reshuffle a few times to win bubble. That's fine. Get the damage bubble out. Okay, pop the 6-round aura, get to max pips, brulee once, or wings even, and then you have double buffed hits repeatedly. You can Lumi through shields. It doesn't matter. They do 800, 900, which adds up very quickly. The overtime hits they do a little damage, but it adds up. You know, a Lumi through a shield that does 400 adds up. Okay, because if you Lumi, you can heal off what they're doing. And, you know, a weakness counts for a lot. And as you can see, I don't pack that many heals. I really don't. You don't need to. It's all about taking away their damage, and then while also doing damage back to them. So yeah, you can get people stuck really easily. And a bright side of healing life / shading is a lot of people will just refuse to fight you, and they will flee. They'll just leave. So as you can see, this is my record of the last 2 seasons. 80% of this was healing life. I was still trying to get the hang of it, but as you can see, this season I went full swing into it, and I'm winning almost every match because people don't know how to play it correctly. So either they'll play it wrong and just straight up lose, or they'll just leave, which, you know, I'm not complaining about. You know, it's not a game issue. It's the fact that people are not willing to adapt. So we take advantage of the fact that they don't want to adapt, and we do this. We punish them. So the biggest issue is like the play wall for this, because yes, some of this gear is hard to get. That is very obvious. But also the TC Roshambos. Now, these are not mandatory by any means. There are multiple ways to get them. Okay, you can get tickets by playing PvP and use these tickets to craft the TCs. You know, right here. It takes these, which you can buy with tickets, and then these, which you earn. But if you're lucky, you can unlock the PvP crafter. So the PvP crafter will allow you to craft these Rochambeau TCs with Azoth, which is you can also craft gear, which is acquired through raids, and farming dungeons and stuff like that. I mean, y'all know where Azoth is from. So pretty simple recipe if you ask me, and by doing these raids, I've crafted, you know, 51 supernovas. I have a bunch of putrefactions. I got, you know, stuff like that. Super worth it. So getting into a guild that has this maybe might help you. Doing raids, or just do straight up PvP and trade, and get all of the reagents. That is another way to do it. I will tell you guys that when you are trying to craft the Rochambeau TCs, they are no trade, but the reagents that you need to craft them are. So if you have tickets on a different character, you can redeem the tickets for the reagents and transfer them, and then craft on that character. That will work. So I will probably be doing Twitch streams at some point, showing you guys how to do the strat. You guys, probably a lot of you have seen me in queue doing this, so you can watch my matches if you're really curious. A lot of you guys have my Discord. I'll drop a link in the description if you guys want to ask me questions directly on how to do this. And yeah, just good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next one.